So I'm Nick Patrick. I run the International Trade Centre here at the Sheffield Chamber of Commerce. The brief today, as I've just said, is what is new in international trade and what does your business need to know? And I'm going to absolutely rattle through these slides because we've got a lot to cover today. And it's really designed just to pick your ears up about particular issues that might affect your business. And if you want more information, please get in touch with us afterwards and we will explain everything that is required. But since we have left the European Union, there are a few issues that we had right at the beginning and we've still got right now. So the first one is about transit documentation. I'm not too sure if people are aware of what this is, but this is an assured guarantee that goods will be delivered to the addresses that are on the commercial invoice and the declarations for VAT and duty payments. That has created, and still is to a degree, massive delays at border ports. Courier activity. Now, couriers work on a slightly different basis to normal freight hauliers, and we have had huge issues during the past 6 months, 5 months or so, particularly with communication, not really following the exporter or the importer of record instructions, but things have changed. They are an awful lot better, but still there are some very relevant changes which are going to take place on the 1st of July, and this is due to a European initiative. So what does your business need to know? Well, things that are coming in very soon, which probably will affect you, is the fact that full declarations will start to be implemented for the delayed customs procedures from the 1st of July. And basically what this means is that the government set up the border operating model where you could do a simplified declaration on import and you had 6 months to do the full declaration. Now, we know actually that quite a few goods have been arriving and the importers of record don't realize or know if a declaration has been done or indeed who did it. And that could be because the freight forwarder has actually brought the goods through the border port at customs on a simplified declaration and simply delivered the goods at the warehouse for the importer. And the importer is not aware that if it was brought under this regime, then a full declaration will need to be done from the 1st of July. So if you've got goods that came in on the 1st of January, you need to declare them by the 1st of July, and that's a full declaration. And crucially, you need to pay any VAT or any duty that is liable against the value of those products. So please consider that and look into it. And it's a rolling procedure. So anything you brought in February will need to be declared in August, in March, needs to be declared in September, etc. IOSS. Now, the IOSS is the Import One-Stop Shop system. I was very concerned about this when I first heard about it because I didn't know how deep or wide it would go and how it would affect people. So I've been doing a lot of research on that. And it seems that actually it's really a business to consumer relationship, primarily for small parcels that have been transported by the courier service. But there is a small B2 business-to-business element in it. And if you think that that might affect you, then please don't hesitate to contact me. We've got the Belgium EU Gateway. This is a new initiative from the Belgian government who are working very closely with the British Belgium EU Chamber of Commerce to set up a gateway to ease imports of goods into Europe through Belgium. And it is well worth understanding what that is because I've been on a number of the webinars, and it sounds like it could be a good system. The new customs declaration service will be coming on tap fairly soon now, I think. This is the new digital service that will take place of the old chief, the customs handling of import and export freight. Now, we have actually already signed up for this, and Sheffield Chamber of Commerce, our customs broker services department, will be going live on CDS from the 1st of July, and that will create some advantages for importers and exporters. And I would just want to mention quickly the DIT Internationalization Fund. So this is a new fund. It's actually a value of £2 million for South Yorkshire companies who are wanting to expand, develop or start an export pathway. We are actually distributing this on behalf of DIT. All details are on our website if you want to know more about that. So we're now going to come to international trade agreements. This is an issue which you know, as exporters and importers for that matter, we do need to keep an eye on these, because obviously there's no point in going through all this Brexit pain if we're not going to use the opportunities to expand our business worldwide. I haven't listed all the current agreements that we've got. But everybody will receive, who is on this webinar, will receive a copy of these slides. A digital copy means that you can just click on the tab there, and it'll take you to the pages where all of the trade agreements already signed are. We also know that we are in discussions for the Australian agreement and the CPTPP, which is a comprehensive progressive agreement for trans-Pacific partnerships. If Britain can enter this club, if the UK can enter this club, it could make an absolutely, well, it could open quite a few doors. So leading on to my next slide, I want to introduce you to the UK Global Business Network. Now, and really the theme here is, how can we help you make the most of these trade agreements? So I'm going to introduce you to Anne-Marie Martin, and because we had a little glitch with the presentations just a bit earlier, I'm going to make Anne-Marie the host. So I'm going to introduce you to Anne-Marie. You're on.
Thank you, Nick. I don't think you need to make me a host though, Nick. If you stop sharing, I think I can share. So bear with me. Hello, everyone. Sorry, let's just.
You are host, by the way.
The technical barrier first. Oh, okay. Oh, fabulous. The host with the most. Can you see that? Is that clear?
Yeah.
Superb. Let me just get my mouse doing what it needs to be doing. Thank you so much. I've lost the ability to see you all, so I can't see the body language or your reaction. Hopefully it's all very positive. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me today. Just to add to Nick, what you mentioned about FTAs, I also got notice yesterday that they're beginning the consultation for the India FTA as well. So things are moving at quite a pace. Bear with me, if I look away from you, I'm looking at my large screen where I can actually see some of you, but on my smaller screen, I can't. Anyway, I thought it would be good to, Nick's already introduced me, which is very kind. The only thing I will say that will embarrass him is that he and I shared a fantastic Latin dance once, very early on in our friendship. He's a brilliant dancer, so I highly recommend him for any party at any time. I hope that wasn't too embarrassing, Nick.
You always do it, Anne-Marie.
I just use a different example every single time. I wanted to, let me just move on my slides, excuse me one sec. I thought, I mean, I know that most of you know about the British Chambers of Commerce, but I thought it was really good for you to see this slide so you kind of get an understanding of who we are and where everything sits, you know, where the Sheffield Chamber sits, where other members that I've noticed, we've got quite a few colleagues on the call today. Hi everyone, lovely to see you all. It's really quite important to understand that this isn't about a one-woman show and her dog. There is an organization called the British Chambers of Commerce. It's probably, it's been named as one of the top 5 business representatives organizations in the UK. We were founded some 160 years ago, and our patron is the Queen, very supportive of the efforts and the work of the BCC. Sorry, could I ask you all to mute yourselves? There's quite a bit of feedback coming, please, if that's all right. Also, it's important to understand that our role is to represent and campaign for business, and in particular, those businesses in our collective membership. So across the 53 UK accredited chambers, and now more recently in the last 2 years, this extraordinary growth of 72 British international chambers across the world. So our international trade credentials, which is what's relevant today, are renowned. It's good to see the figures in writing. We help to deliver as a network products across almost every sector of industry. Goods certified by the network have entered over 150 markets worldwide last year, and more than 500 shipments had a value of £16 billion. So it's a big piece of the work that we do. When I first joined the BCC 2 years ago, this was with a specific purpose in mind, and that was to develop and implement the BCC's international strategy. So my task was primarily at that point to expand our global reach, which at the time was based on what I would call sort of historical projects with some around 20 international affiliates. And Nick is well versed around working with those at that time. As we are now over 70, in fact, 72 international members, growth has been incredibly rapid, bearing in mind it's literally 2.5 years on, and we've had a really extraordinary year as well in the pandemic crisis last year. But we continue to grow. I have probably about another 5 chambers in the pipeline just this coming few months. So I fully expect us to reach our target of 100 by 2023. And it wouldn't surprise me if that happens a little bit earlier. So what is it that we do? We have an extensive research program. Some of you that are members of the chamber will know that our jewel in the crown is the quarterly economic survey, which regularly receives over 7,000 responses, and it's the largest independent survey of its kind in the UK. It's used by agencies, really reputable agencies like the Bank of England, for example, in their own forecasting. We have strong relationships with local and national governments, and through our international network, they have incredibly strong relationships with their national governments around the world. And with our brand new customs brokerage service, which some of you have potentially used the services of Chamber Customs, it's a brand new response business. And the only customs broker in the UK to offer a one-stop shop with direct links to all sea, air and road ports and terminals in the UK. And now with our growing global business network, we can hand on heart say that we're able to truly drive and promote trade too, and provide local support across the world, including across the UK. So what is the Global Business Network, of which I'm the lead, and I have huge support from people like Nick, and I truly appreciate that, and some of my colleagues on the call as well. It is a key strategic initiative launched by the BCC, as I said, around 2 years ago. It's a unique, and it is unique, I truly believe that, that it is unique. It's an unique international member network of now those 72 growing British chambers of commerce and equivalent business groups. And I think it's important to understand that in not every market in the world will allow a British chamber to be set up because of their own regulatory framework. So sometimes you may come across a British business group or British business a council with that bilateral element to it. And they are literally scattered across all continents of the world, outside of the UK predominantly. A few are within the UK, but they're directly connected to those 53 regional chambers of commerce that are located across every key business hub in the UK, which is hugely, hugely unique and important. Our primary strategic objectives have been to drive international business between companies in the membership of the BCC national chambers and international chambers, to help businesses to surmount the barriers to trade, the often cited barriers, and seize those opportunities by creating what I lovingly describe as a framework of connectivity and practical support, and provided by a trusted, known private sector, highly regarded network of reputable business partners. The network acts as a really agile and reliable ecosystem for businesses that are on that sort of growth spurt and wishing to widen their international horizons. Each chamber has a diverse membership of both services and goods companies that are willing to share advice and provide trusted connections. Most of the chambers in the international network, like the ones in the UK, know their members well and can hand on heart recommend their members to anyone that is interested in connecting with them. So essentially, what does that mean? It means that a company that is a member of any chamber in the BCC network.
Sorry, Anne.
Yeah.
Sorry, Anne-Marie. Could I just ask everybody, please, to mute their microphones?
Right.
I think, Sue, I think there's quite a lot of background noise, Sue, from yourself. So if you wouldn't mind, everybody, please just mute your microphones to make sure that that there's no background noise. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nick. That's
sorry.
No problem. So essentially what it means is that any member of any chamber in our network can benefit from those international B2B connections, support services and solutions, practical advice about the local business environment, and potential market opportunities. It's summed up, I think, probably in this slide. This is a key slide. I'm going to allow you to read this at your leisure, because we will share these afterwards and make sure that Nick gets the right version. Apologies, Nick, for the mix-up earlier. But this gives you a good feel of the practical examples. And actually, we'll hear from Neil on a very practical level, but it gives you a feel of what the opportunities and the possibilities are. My most recent experience is probably the one at the bottom, the Norfolk example, where I received an inquiry from an external company, a British company that is located in the Norfolk region, actually not a member of the Norfolk Chamber. We remedied that very, very quickly. We then were able to support them to progress inquiries for outsourced manufacturing of PPE equipment across markets in Eastern Europe, the Middle East, and South America via our chamber network. They've all been able to connect with each other and put in potential bids and contracts for that much needed work. So it's been a huge success story that's ongoing at the moment. It's not finished yet, but that gives you a good example of how this can work. So it can be about a company that is within the membership already, but actually this was a fantastic recruitment opportunity for the Norfolk Chamber of Commerce, but also potentially, if those deals are done, for those chambers in the respective markets around our international network. I thought this would be a great slide to share, just to give you a bit of an idea of some of the work that's being done in the background. This unique network has helped us, particularly in the last year, to connect to each other more than ever before. We've been able to share experiences with each other, best practice, and explore business opportunities both chamber to chamber and member to member through regular international market updates that have provided insight into the impact, particularly around the crisis, on various markets around the world, lessons learned, how we could, some markets have been ahead of the curve, South Korea, China, they've really been doing the rounds around the network to say, this is how we pivoted, this is how we supported our members, and this is what you can learn from our experience. Chambers have been co-hosting multiple virtual trade missions, trade fora for their respective members across the entire network, and they've been proving really successful in a funny sort of way, despite we will never move away from that ability to meet with each other, connect, look at each other in the eye, and like each other and do business. The virtual world has meant that connectivity has been greater than ever. And of course, a call to arms and an invitation to all. We have our global annual conference in June on the 16th and 17th, and it will be truly international. We have some fantastic national and international speakers, and we're tackling those topics that are really relevant to the business communities across the world. These are some of our global campaigns that bring together our incredible global networks. So the UK network and the internationals working together to tackle and give voice to some of those big challenges of current generations, but future generations as well. I think the most relevant one for today's conversation is the Year of Trade campaign, which is really our campaign in response to that sort of what we've witnessed last year, particularly that seismic decline in business growth and export and investment. We want to launch this campaign later in the year in order to help business communities that our network represents to counter the barriers and challenges and seize those opportunities. Nick referred to FTAs a little bit earlier, strategic markets for UK government in terms of their FTA agenda. We are really quite closely aligned. The EU absolutely features as top line, but the reality is that, our Year of Trade campaign will also tackle discussions around the opportunities for markets across the world. Looking at USA, Australia, Canada, Japan, China, India, just to name a few, and not to upset my Southeast Asia colleagues on the call, of course, Singapore, Cambodia, Thailand, Myanmar, despite some of its challenges, has a lot to offer. And you will have seen that really interesting case study with Myanmar a little bit earlier on as well. You're going to hear this first. Even Nick doesn't know this yet, so it's an exciting development that he will appreciate, I know. We plan to launch our own peer-to-peer digital tools, so that means chamber to chamber. This will enable our member chambers to seamlessly connect to each other, drive trade opportunities on behalf of you, the members, organize trade forum missions, events, and drive best practice across the network through this brand new BCC Global Digital Community Hub. We're very excited about this. Lots of pre-prep work going on at the moment. It will formally launch in September. Their new tool will enable them to truly demonstrate the power of the BCC Global Business Network, of which they are a member, and to help you to share, trade, and grow via them. In a nutshell, again, you can read this at your leisure, but it can best be, I feel that as business members of the chamber, this is probably a great way to summarize the value and benefit for you. That unparalleled insight into the UK business communities, but actually increasingly into UK business communities across the world, international business know-how and expertise and that deep local knowledge, internationally across the UK, that unrivaled experience that you get as soon as they open their front door, which they willingly do. You have the potential to work with 125 business communities if we put everyone in together, including the UK network. a deep understanding of sector opportunities and the strengths across and strategic strengths across global markets, and those thousands of potential customers, both nationally and internationally, via that trusted ecosystem that I often talk about. There is the opportunity through your chamber to input into trade policy development that the BCC drives at the center. And there's that whole network visibility and raising the profile of this incredible network across the world via our various platforms. Our global events, events in the past were very UK focused. Now they are really, truly international, and you can participate in all of those as well. I feel sometimes that there really is a risk that we become a bit discouraged during challenging times. And actually, I hope that, the Global Business Network provides a forum for you, for chambers and their members, for proactive engagement that really helps members, companies to explore new opportunities. We're here to help. This is where I am. My door is always open, my virtual door increasingly at the moment, but hopefully I'll get the opportunity to meet you properly at some point. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anne-Marie. That was very, very interesting and packed with information. If you could just return the host to me, I'll be very grateful, because then I can continue on.
I will do my very best now. Let me go back.
If you put your cursor on your name, it says more.
Where am I? Here we go.
On participants.
It doesn't give me that option, actually, Nick.
Oh, well, then we've got a little bit of a problem.
Well, done it on yours. Change host. There you go.
Yeah, I am the host now. Thank you very much. I was getting just a little bit worried there, and we have some people in the waiting room now, which I haven't been able to let in, but I am doing now. Okay, no problems. I will just say a quick apology to them as they're coming in now. So all those who have just joined us, I'm really sorry I couldn't let you into the room earlier on. I had to give the host over to Anne-Marie. I'll be very, very grateful if you could turn off your microphones, please, Dina. If you could put your microphone on to mute, I'll be very grateful. I think I've just done it for you. Okay, well, thank you very much for that, Anne-Marie, and I'm really glad that you've forgotten that I did in fact step on your toes. But I would now like to introduce you to Neil Smith. Now, Neil has been a supporter of the Global Business Network ever since it started, really, in 2013. And he has developed his global trade in his particular industry sector, I would say significantly, but I'll let Neil explain what he's done and how he's done it. But I just thought it was a good idea to ask Neil if he could be the case study company to talk about the advantages of using the Global Business Network. So Neil, over to you, and I'm going to put your slides on.
Thank you, Nick.
Can you see that?
I can.
Good, excellent.
Can you make it go? Oh, we got it going big as well.
Good.
Hi, good morning, everybody, and thank you to Anne-Marie for going through exactly what Global Business Network is, something that I've used extensively, I would say, over the last 7 or 8 years. I work for a company called Polyseam in Huddersfield. We're a manufacturing company. About 8-9 years ago, the decision was made to try to increase the size of the business by exporting to more markets around the world. We have a niche product for the building and construction industry. It's a fire protection product, so it's quite high up in the news at the moment with some high-profile fires that we've had in the UK and around the world. So our products help to stop fire spreading through buildings. I needed to find a way to start it, and it was a little bit of a fluke, and I got in touch with Nick Patrick down at Sheffield Chamber of Commerce, just as the time the Global Business Network was starting, although I think it was called something else back then. And I remember attending a really good event that the Sheffield Chamber of Commerce put on, where people came from all different parts of the world to introduce what they could offer me. And I remember sitting in a room going, this is brilliant, but I've no idea how to use it. So I left, thought about it for a few days, got in touch with Nick, and then found out how it worked, really. And I did several projects within a couple of years. If Nick wants to put the next slide on. I've tried to keep it as basic as possible. So wanted to export and decided that Central Eastern Europe would be a good place to start. So we started with, the first project I did was in Romania. And then we moved through various parts of the sort of developing Central Eastern Europe region. And we did extremely well out of that and won new business in most of those regions. Then I thought, right, if we can do it close to home, let's have a look a little bit further afield. And Vietnam was the first sort of voyage into Southeast Asia, closely followed by Thailand and Myanmar. And out of Vietnam and Thailand, we managed to win business again. Myanmar was going really well. And then, there's some well-documented issues around Myanmar at the moment, and it stalled things. Until the beginning of this year, I was still in touch with most of the people out there, and it's gone a little bit quiet. So I can see Peter Crowhurst is on. So hello, Peter. We might be having a chat a little bit later, see if we can activate some of the work that we did a few years ago.
Good idea.
So they're just, yeah, Peter, do you want to say something? They're just some of the projects that I started with. And I thought I'll just talk you through it. And if you go on to the next start, it's sort of how do you start and where do you start? So first thing to do is to have a look at your product. Where do you think you can sell it? What markets are of interest? And it's a bit of guesswork, but you can find out roughly who's using your products and the markets that are growing. There's a lot of help out there. So just ask other people, speak to the people who are around. There's loads and loads of help available in this area. I tend to start with Nick Patrick, and then through DIT, there's access to a local export trade advisor as well, who have normally been there and done it before you. Go along to some of the Chamber of Commerce networking events, and there's people that will have done what you're trying to do as well and visited a lot of the markets that you're thinking of going into. So it was just talking to a lot of people and trying to find as much advice as possible. And then once you've decided you want to do a project in, say, Romania, then contact that, put local Chamber of Commerce, I mean the local to where you want to do the business. And if you don't know who to contact, again, speak to Nick Patrick, because he tends to know who to speak to, and he'll do a little introduction, and away we go. What I realized then fairly clearly is you have to know what you want, and you have to have a very clear brief, because you're going to work with some people that know that market very well, but they don't know your product. So you have to get as much information, and they need to be experts in your product and product group very, very quickly. So the next two slides are just a brief I came up with. If you want to flick onto the next one, Nick. And I'm sorry the print's a bit small, but it was just to talk you through it. It was just a little bit of information on who you are. So I put who we were, where we're based, the main products that we manufacture, the brand that I'm trying to sell. So, the protector, pacifier protection products in this case, the website where you can find the information. We can also offer private label, so we can manufacture for people and produce in their own brand as well. So just put that on there. And then again, reiterating that exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking to find a route to market for the protector brand of pacifier protection products. And just a little bit more information about it. In order to sell our products, we have to make sure that the certification we have is accepted in that market. So again, just a little bit of information there of some of the hurdles that we may come across some of the obstacles of getting into that market. If you want to go on to the next one, Nick. And then I list then, and I've cut the list short here to make sure I can get it all onto one slide, the main products in our range, so that the researchers in there can get an idea for the products that we sell. So I'm saying there what I'm looking for. I've also put on there what I'm not looking for, because you can often find the wrong products in our industry. So I've specifically said we're not looking for paint, we're looking for all the other products. I found it useful to include some competitor activity, because it's then quite easy for them to do research into the market and look at who's out there. So the main competitors. And then I put a little bit of information about who we currently deal with, the type of companies that we deal with and have had success with, and their web information. So again, the people on the ground can get a bit more of a feel for what we do, who we deal with, and what we're trying to achieve. I'm not saying that's perfect, and I keep tweaking it, and after every project somebody will say, would it be better if we had this in there, and you didn't have that. So it's a moving document, and it changes as I go along, but that's the one I'm using at the moment. Right, and then once you've spoken to the chamber, normally had a chat on Teams. Now it used to be the telephone, but COVID's brought something to us, and everybody will do Teams and Zoom now. So it's brilliant. It's opened the world up. So they'll tend to want to sit down with you, have a chat with you, find out exactly what we want. They'll put an offer to you, telling you what it's going to cost you and the work that they'll undertake and the time scale. And after you've done all that and signed the agreements, they'll disappear off for a few weeks and then come back to you with generally a long list. So they'll come back with a number of companies that they've found within their marketplace that they feel may be useful to you in growing your business. And then from that long list, then it's up to you or up to me to go through there and pick out the best prospects from that. And I'm generally looking to go out and have between 4 and 6 meetings for what I do. I tend to find if I can narrow it down to 4 or 6 people, that's about ideal for me. So I'll go through the long list, research the companies myself, have a look on the internet, and go back with what I feel are the best options. And then you come up with this short list. And from the short list, generally the help from the local chamber will be to speak to them, pass more information, and then arrange a date when we can, in normal times, fly out and win some new business from some potential new customers. So it's been quite a straightforward process for me, and it's just a way of accessing people that you just can't find by Googling. So it's, these people are on the ground, they know the markets, they know who to speak to. So the start of this year, I've decided, we need to look for more growth, and I've come up with a project, and I'm actually at the moment commissioning projects in these 4 areas, all using British Chambers of Commerce. So South Korea, Egypt, Indonesia, Singapore. I don't know if anybody's on from those regions. I can't quite see everybody. And I'm just now waiting, signing agreements. The research has started in Egypt. I'm hoping South Korea will follow very quickly on. What I'm trying to do is space them out about a month apart, just to give me plenty of time to do it. And that's it from me. And I think there's a spot later on where I'll do some questions. You're on mute, Nick. Nick, you're on mute.
I know. So thank you very much for that, Neil. I thought it was a really good insight into how the global business network actually operates. I would just like to say that the new projects that Neil has started, he is doing it using the Dit Internationalization Fund. I think that's right, isn't it, Neil? So
yeah, that's correct. I've actually applied for some funding through DIT. You can get you can put a project together for up to £18,000 and get 50% match funded. So I've used the maximum amount, which is why I went for 4 projects in one.
Yeah, so you can do all this with very little cost impact initially, which is really, really crucial because, of course, when you go out to a new market, you don't know if you're actually going to make money from it or not. You know, you have to go out there to check it out. So as much as you can do from the UK as possible is absolutely crucial. And if you can get funding for it, then even better. And, you know, if we want to grow our businesses, we do need to look further afield. And, you know, I'm delighted to say I refer to make it a bit more personal, I refer to our global business network, who, by the way, I'm a total fan of. I think it's a brilliant initiative. But I refer to them as our people on the ground. And the reason why I do that is to try to put over the personal relationship that I have with all of our global network, and that you will have as well. I mean, if you come to me and you say, oh, I'd like to be introduced to Peter Crowhurst or Aaron or any of the other 70 plus people that we have on the ground in these markets, I will do a personal introduction by email, and I know that individual overseas will thank me for the introduction, say hello to you by email, and suggest that you arrange to have a Zoom meeting at a convenient time so that he can know more about your business and what you're wanting, and you can know more about what they can do for you. And there are some costs involved, of course there are. You know, we're all working as professionals in this game. So we do have a lot of the people on. And one other thing I would really like to say, and I think this is very important, we focus on the SME fraternity. You know, it's the SME section that we're interested in helping, and we are a hand-holding network. It's a personal connection to our global markets. They are your friends on the ground. You can trust them, and they will act as your interim agents until you start to get a bit of established in place. So thank you very much to both Neil and Anne-Marie. I'm just going to pop the screen up on again because we're going to bring this to a close, but there are a few things that I would just like to add. And I'm going to see if I can get this working properly this time. Yes, I think it's worked properly this time. So I'm just going to pomp on a little bit to where I want to be. Excuse me. Okay, so what I would like to do is I'd like to open the floor to some questions now. So if you do have a question and you would like to ask a question, please unmute yourself and just ask the question. You're more than welcome to do that. If anybody isn't that happy about talking live on air, then put your hands up, or rather put it into chat, and I will ask the question on your behalf. And just to get things going, I asked some people to ask some questions in advance, and I've got one for Neil here. Neil, somebody had asked, how quickly can you expect to gain new business after a project with the Sheffield Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, it's always a good question because people always want to know how quickly they can get a return on their investment, and it is an investment to spend money to do the project, to do it. Unfortunately, the answer is how long's a piece of string. It varies with every market that you go to. Typically, I've had business back in as little as 6 months after starting the project. And my longest conversion rate I remember extremely well because it was Romania, which was the first project I undertook, and it took 3 years before I got the first order in and at least 3 market visits. Some markets are just a little bit more complicated than others, unfortunately.
Can I add, Nick? I think it's also a cultural thing. I think this is where British chambers come into their own in market, because some things may take longer just because the cultural environment requires that. because of the way they do businesses, and chambers have a really good understanding of that, and they will be able to advise, you know, someone like Neil about, you know, actually in Romania it happens this way, in Myanmar that way. Would you not say, Neil, having...
Yeah, and again, you do tend to speak to people in, you know, on the ground, as Nick puts it, and you will get that impression. I know when as soon as you're dealing with the Asian market, they want to meet you. You know, they want to sit down and have coffee or beer and food, or preferably all three. Find out a little bit about you, speak about your family, get to know you before you get to business.
Okay.
There are other markets that just want to sit down and talk about sport for an hour. Australia, New Zealand, you know, it's don't really care about anything else. What football are you into and everything else. Cultural differences in every market.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's just
and
trying
also
to understand it.
not assuming that every region of the world is exactly the same. So I have lots of experience in Eastern Europe, and the markets that you've been into, I know Romania and Romanians. Well, I'm Romanian, so I know Romanians incredibly well, but I also know others in that region, and not all of them necessarily behave in the same way. So it's understanding there are cultural differences within regions as well.
Yeah,
definitely.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. I have a question that's been sent to me on chat from Emma. For those of you who are involved in any shape or form in the steel industry, and of course we have a lot in South Yorkshire, the question is regarding the supply chain of steel. And of course, since we've left the European Union, the British government have attempted to protect British industry by putting quotas onto certain raw materials that are purchased in. But this has created a huge problem at the moment, and this is why I'm being asked this question. There are massive supply chain issues in the steel industry now, which is affecting many sectors, you know, that use steel. And there are three main reasons. The first one is the situation with Liberty Steel. Now, since the company went into financial difficulties, they haven't been producing. And of course, yesterday we heard on the news that they were looking to sell Stocksbridge. But Liberty Steel are a massive supplier to the UK and outside the UK of raw steel. And that has created a massive shortage of steel for use in the UK. Added to that, the British government had put quotas on certain types of steel commodity codes. Now, the issue is that if you're importing goods under a certain commodity code, they may be duty-free, particularly from the European markets where we have the free trade agreement. However, once the volume has been imported to a certain tonnage, there will be a quota value of 25% import duty added to that product. And we are coming across massive issues now. You know, we are customs brokers. We are doing the import declarations and export declarations for companies. And they are getting hugely shocked when they suddenly find that product they imported last month, this month for no duty, this month they've got 25% knocked on it, which of course is not tenable. You know, they can't afford that. And it isn't, and one other thing about the steel industry, which I picked up yesterday during a British Chambers of Commerce discussion, the building of HS2 is probably using more steel in the raw material supply chain than anything at the moment. So those three things together are making it really difficult and impeding imports with the quotas. And it's the quotas are not just on the steel industry. Earlier this year, we helped a company import 25 tons of chocolate, and this particular chocolate, we found out that there was a quota on this particular product, and anything after the quota had been reached had a 25% duty put on it, which of course you need to know about in advance. So my advice to you, if you're importing goods, is please check your commodity codes, go to the .gov trade tariff site, put the commodity code in, and just read the small print, because if there is a quota against it, it will tell you, and you need to know this in advance. I'll just see if we've got any more questions. Kirsty Royston, you mentioned that the new digital customer service will go live in July. Do you expect there to be any teething problems? Kirsty, yes, we do, absolutely. The CDS system was supposed to come into operation more than a year ago. Unfortunately, there were teething problems, it couldn't happen. It was supposed to come into operation last November. Unfortunately, it couldn't happen. There was a mad dash scramble to get it up and running for the 1st of January because we couldn't do any Northern Ireland trade without the CDS. And that just about happened, skin of the teeth. It is a completely different system to Chief. There will be advantages for exporters and importers who are doing their declarations through CDS because it's much more visible. You will be able to find out the status of your declarations. I believe you'll also be able to pull off your own C88s and export documents, which you need for customs compliance. By the way, you need these and you need to retain them. But it is a different system. So I do believe that, you know, it's inevitable. There's going to be problems. There's going to be teething problems. I'm happy to say that actually the chamber network in the UK, those participating, those customs brokers through the chamber network will be amongst the first to be locked onto CDS. Sheffield Chamber will be going live from the 1st of July. And we expect to be quite busy while we're embedding in the new system. We will still be able to run on Chief. So there won't be any problems because if there's an issue, we'll just switch over to Chief. But it's just important. I think it's important information for you to know. I've got a question from Lynn here. How can I find out what simplified declarations have been done and what I've not been made aware of? Lynn, that's a really important question. About a month ago, I got a call from a company saying that they had received imports in their warehouse, trucks just arriving from Europe, but they had received no paperwork. They weren't even aware that the goods were going to be arriving with these products, and they were starting to get worried about the customs procedures. I helped them understand why this was happening, but of course it opened a very nasty can of worms, because it meant that whoever was doing their freight haulage was just driving through customs and they weren't doing any declarations. And as an importer of record, you are bound to know what you're bringing in, to pay the duties if there are any, to pay the VAT, and to retain the paperwork for HMRC audit purposes. And if you don't have any of this, then you can bet your bottom dollar that HMRC will be knocking at your door. So in that case, actually, we had to, working with the freight forwarding companies, right back from January the 1st, we had to find out everything that had happened. Unfortunately, quite a few of them were foreign companies. They didn't know. So we then had to trawl back through the history and we ended up doing all of the declarations for that company. And if you use us as your customs broker, we are a compliance-led customs broker service. We will make sure that you get all of the relevant details and paperwork you need. So
thank you. I really appreciate that. The problem I'm having is the foreign freight forwarders. They don't want to talk to me. They don't want to help. They're saying it's not our problem. You have to do the declaration, and you know this is where I'm coming unstuck. Okay,
Lynn. Well, at the end of this, later on today, I will be sending everybody on this call this presentation. At the end of it are all of our contact details. If you don't already have mine, my email is on there. Please send me an email and I'll pick it up with you at a later, well, today or tomorrow, and we'll get to the bottom of it and try try and sort it out for
Thank you. Thank you.
I have one more question. I'm going to take one more question, and then we're going to just move on a little bit because it's 11 o'clock already, and I don't want to run over. The last question is from D. Mitchell. What is the projection for the safeguarding measures of steel quotas beyond June the 30th? This is an interesting question, actually, because the quota is creating very, very serious problems for a lot of very big industries in South Yorkshire. And I mean serious financial issues. So we have started a lobbying process that actually I'm working directly with the West Midlands Chamber of Commerce here, because they've got a few importers who are also under the same issue. And we've started a lobbying programme, which is involving our local councils in Sheffield and in Birmingham and the Black Country. And we've also involved the BCC, and James Martin, who is the Director of Policy at the BCC, has brought this up to Liz Truss's department attention, and we're getting quite a lot of weight behind this. So watch this space. There is an organisation called TRID, which is the Trade Remedies Investigation Directorate, which is part of the Department of International Trade. TRID are actually being really, really helpful. They are absolutely understanding what the issues are, and already they have removed quite a few of the quotas. So just keep up to speed on this. If you want more information, please let me know, and we'll try and find out specifically for your particular circumstances. So I'm going to leave it at that now as far as the questions are concerned. I'm going to rattle on. We need to finish this. I hate running over. There's no need to go through the conclusions and takeaways. I think everybody tries, we're trying to put the message over that we've got people on the ground in over 70 countries around the world. There are huge opportunities to developing your trade overseas, even outside Europe. And please bear in mind that, everybody wants to sell to the European community. It's a huge market. All companies in the globe are trying to get a foot in the European market. And in turn, that reduces margins. It makes it harder to see the purchasing departments of your potential customers. And it just puts a bit of a hill in front of you to climb up. Whereas if you go to countries outside the European Union, individual markets like Southeast Asia, South America and Asian sub, Africa, etc., you will find it's a completely different attitude. The purchasing people in these companies don't have a great deal of supply chain choice. They're really willing to see you. There is very little competition in the marketplace because a lot of them don't have local manufacturer. And of course, all those global competitors, most of them aren't in that market. And it will just open your eyes. So please consider that. The other conclusion that we are looking at here is the changes that have happened recently. So I've just listed there how we can help. I'm not going to go through it. As I said, everybody's going to get a copy of this. And if you just click on any of these, if you look at it online, it will take you to the particular web page that will give you information about that particular subject. Obviously, as a Chamber of Commerce, we are a not-for-profit, membership-led organisation. Of course, we want to grow our membership. Of course, members have massive financial advantages and access advantages over non-members. We still help non-members. We would help every single company who came and asked us a question. But you will get much more access at a much cheaper rate if you join the Chamber. So Sam Christmas is our head of membership. His details will be on the slides when you get them. I'd just like to talk about a couple of other events we've got coming up. I did mention on the 1st of July, the the situation will happen where you have to now declare and pay for the VAT element and duty element, if there is anything, of goods that you imported in January. So the British Chambers of Commerce have got this event, Anything to Declare. It's on the 3rd of June, next week. Liam Smith is running it. Liam is the Director of International Trade with the British Chambers of Commerce. And you can register for this event on our website at Sheffield Chamber. Anne-Marie will be very pleased that I'm promoting this. It is the BCC Global Annual Conference. They have got some fantastic speakers, an absolutely brilliant lineup, and it is completely free. So once again, you'll need to register. If you're interested in registering for that, please come to our website at Sheffield Chamber International Trade Events, and you'll find it there. By the way, it's 2 days. It doesn't mean to say you have to sit on Zoom for 2 days. You can dip in and out. You can see who's talking, and you can click on and log on just for that particular one. So really, really good. Then the next International Trade Live event like this, as I already mentioned, is on the 22nd of June. We're talking about VAT, European VAT and finance. Now, European VAT is still causing huge confusion and massive areas of non-compliance as far as European customs are concerned, and you have to be careful. So that might be a good one to log into. It's already on our website. You can register today if you wish. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to be able to start issuing transit documents from hopefully the 1st of June. And the BCC once again are putting on crossing continents, moving goods under transit. So there are just 4 issues there. And finally, you'll be very pleased to know, I'm going to say thank you. I'm going to please ask you to stay safe, and hopefully we will see you all soon. I've listed everybody who's involved in the International Trade Centre there. We are very approachable. We're very open. We love talking to people. We love to help. We love to handhold, and we love to get people contacting us for advice. So don't hesitate. I would just like to end by thanking you all for coming along and listening in today. Sorry about the background noise. I don't know if you can hear it. But especially I'd like to thank Anne-Marie Martin, the Director for the Global Business Network at the British Chambers of Commerce. And I can honestly assure you, I am not that good a dancer. And I'd also like to thank very much Neil Smith for supporting me once again in our events that we cover the global network. Thank you very much. And I'd like to say goodbye to everybody and have a good day and stay safe.